We're continuing our exploratory data analysis. In previous videos, we have looked at describing the data using descriptive statistics. We've used inferential statistics to extrapolate from our sample to the greater population. And what we want to look at now is data visualization. The key here is to know what is appropriate for the type of data that you have, be able to interpret it, and of course create it in Python. So in order to do our data visualization, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working through the data visualization Python workbook, which you can find at drstephpowers.github.io/BIA. So we'll click here on data visualization. It'll take you into GitHub. We are going to be doing data visualization from 3 different data sets. We are going to be using our CRM Clean that we've used in previous videos. That's our customer relationship management database. We pulled the information about calls that we've had between customers and our salespeople, so we'll need that one there. We have our Bargain Clean. That is the data set from our results of our survey that we did of our union members to prepare for bargaining. This is the clean version of the data set. And then we also have the numeric version of the data set, so the one that is coded. So we're going to use these 3 different data sets to look at how you can create visualizations, graphs, whether you have data that is coded, whether that is data that is text or string. And so we'll look at different types. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to need to open in Colab. We're going to need to log into our Google account and save a copy so that we can edit the code. And then once we are in there, so I'll just switch to the one where I'm logged in. Once we're in there, we're going to need to mount our own Google Drive. So first we import pandas as PD, and we'll be using skippy.stats and stats packages to do some calculations. And then we want to mount our drive. So we're connecting to our own personal Google Drives. And that's because that's where you should have dumped your files. So make sure you have, from your learning management system, you have the Excel files in, say, Blackboard, or if you got them from GitHub, put them into your own Google Drive. We're using this method, so when you have your own data sets, you know how to pull your own. So put those into your Google Drive. Remember, the first part is up to my drive here. The rest is going to be based on the folders within your drive. So mine are located within a folder in my drive called BIBA Handbook, and in a folder inside that called Chapter 4. That's where I have Bargain Numeric, Bargain Clean, and CRM Clean. These are going to be read in as Excel files, so read _Excel. If you have CSV files, we just replace the word Excel with CSV, and then we make sure the extension on the file is a CSV extension. For the CRM Clean, because it has multiple tabs or sheets in the file, we need to specify that the data is located on sheet 1. So we've mounted the Google Drive. We're going to import our data here. And now we can start creating charts and graphs. Now we're going to be referring here to this visualization to help us figure out which chart and graph is appropriate depending on the type of data. So we can look at, do we want to tell parts of a whole? So we want to see the breakdown. Do we want to do a comparison? Do we want to look at measurements across time? Do we want to compare location data? Do we want to look at the variability of data? Do we want to look at the association between variables? Or do we want to look and analyze text? So depending on which type of information we want to convey determines what type of graph that we're going to be using. So we're going to go through each of these. So we'll do parts of a whole, and we'll look at those different methods in Python. We'll practice each of them. We'll do comparisons. We'll look at time. We'll look at location, the bubble map portion, and Voronoi polygons and Choropleth. We'll leave those until our later discussions as we get into analyzing spatial data. We'll look at these variabilities. And when it comes to the text ones, we will leave those until we get to our natural language processing. We also have visualizations for process. When we get to enterprise analytics, we'll look at those, as well as flow. But then we will have some videos here related to representation of association, and then we'll save our dendrograms here for when we get to our cluster analysis. So the next couple videos are really going to focus on up here with the exclusion of spatial, and then we'll come back and get the spatial graphs and the text-based graphs as we dive into particular data sources.